Slimo Jones says there's whining in the background. I think one of your kids are crying because they're starving or want more cocaine. The stuff that got you here to begin with.
Guys, the kids were never on cocaine. That's like if that's not what you get from this, the state saying, "Oh yeah, you could have your kid back," then you are a fucking retard. Which I've been telling you you're a retard from the beginning, but I was willing to let this work out before I say, if you don't get it now, that there was never any issue. You're just straight up fucking retarded.
If you guys had
saving you.
If you guys don't realize that if the state had any inkling that we had given a child cocaine, that we would be charged with felony child abuse. Like
you'd be dead.
The kids would not be around. That would not be a thing. Like not just not be around. Like we may not be out of jail until our hearing or until our like trial. Like that's an extremely serious crime.
Yeah.
The problem was, I mean, hell, one of the state workers flat out said they don't believe that the child had actually ingested anything. They brought up environmental exposure. I haven't had an opportunity. That was actually my big problem with the whole thing was that test was dropped on us less than 24 hours before our hearing. We had no opportunity to hire an expert. The state didn't have an expert, and we didn't have. That was the point of my entire objection. Was all I wanted was an objection to the admission of any discussion about the test until we could have it reviewed.
Yeah.
Or a continuance so that we could have it reviewed. Because when the state told us about the test, I fucking lost my mind.
Yeah.
I said, that's impossible. That's fucking impossible. And by the way, the state worker tried to lie to us and said that false positives on hair follicle tests are impossible. They said they cannot produce a false positive. That's the state, ladies and gentlemen.
Really? What if you misread the document right now? What about that?
That's the state.
A false positive.
And people ask, well, why didn't you get the child retested? We tried. They wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it.
Yeah, of course not. Once they get what they need, they're done.
Yeah. Actually, the exact quote was the county is not interested in pursuing a second test.
Yeah.
That was because I said that's impossible. There's no fucking way that test is accurate. Not a chance. But it was amazing. The whole thing has been so fucking insane. Like the last thing I was saying, I don't know where I got cut off, but the last thing I was saying was the fail rate on hair follicle tests for cocaine is 35%. Across all ages and populations is actually higher amongst kids. False positives, false negatives. It's not a reliable test. And there's tons of information as to it not being reliable. My biggest problem with it was that we never got to fight it at all. But hey, why didn't we get to fight it? Because the government was happy with it just being out there.
Yeah, I seem to remember something in California where they kicked it out. They took it out of rotation in LA because it's racist. Because the test is racist against black people.
Horrifically racist.
It actually is. It's like,
yes.
If you test a black guy and a white guy who do the same amount of cocaine in their hair, the black guys will test way, way higher. So they had to take it out. They should take it out everywhere. It's totally bullshit. The hair shit.
A black person tests on average 4.5 times higher levels than a blonde person when the exact same amount of cocaine is ingested in controlled tests. So if people don't know how they do this, when they do controlled cocaine testing, they actually do intravenous administration of cocaine to make sure that the amounts are stable. They use medical grade cocaine that they get from specific laboratories. This is all figured in because they have different types of cocaine testing. I've had to read a lot of cocaine testing, shockingly.
Yeah.
They do different types of it, though. They have some where it's self-reported, like, hey, I use this much cocaine, blah, 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 blah. But when they do the scientific testing on the hair follicle studies, they use a specific grade of cocaine that they get from specific government resources, and then they inject it so that it's injected at a consistent rate, consistent with people. And people may not realize this, but the measurements of cocaine in tests are consistent amongst body sizes as well, because it's the weight of cocaine present per weight of the hair, not weight of the person. So when you have like some tests like blood alcohol and shit, it really is heavily dependent on the size of the person. A bigger person can have more alcohol in their blood, and it's a percentage. But on cocaine, it's the weight of the hair. It's 1.5 grams of hair. No matter who it is, they use the same amount of hair to do the test. So when they do picograms per milligram, it's per milligram of hair that they use. But they're unreliable tests entirely. And so when we found out about it, the first thing we wanted that test redone, because there was no fucking way.
They should have wanted it redone. Like, you can't be a responsible adult and say, oh, one of these kids tested positive in the hair. Like, let's just run it again and see. That's probably obviously bullshit.
Oh, and lots of people make a big deal about some metabolite. The metabolite that was found, because people are like, oh, there's a metabolite. It's actually called benzocagnine. Benzocagnine. It's a weirdly pronounced thing. And it's the one metabolite of cocaine that actually is created outside of human bodies. It's a cocaine metabolizes outside of human bodies and into this metabolite. It's pretty fucking interesting because there are other metabolites. There's coethyl adaline or something, which is like cocaine and alcohol mix. And then there's norococaine, which is a different metabolite. None of those were found on the tests. It was only the one test where the sole metabolite that was found was the metabolite that occurs outside of the human body.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. It's not like I've read 40 fucking scientific papers on it now.
They should test the cops.
Oh, if you hair follicle test cops, all cops will test. Any cops that do drug work will test positive for several drugs on a hair follicle test.
Yeah. So what are we doing? Are we testing money? Are we testing cops or not? Like, it's such a stupid test.
An honest doubter says, could they have blank your kids while they had them? Dose them. I guess dose them. They have a syringe there. Again, I'm not going to say
you don't have to dose hair. You just fuck up.
Let's just say, it seems that there is actually an explanation, and that explanation will be raised at the appropriate time. The appropriate time is not on the internet right now, but let's just say that has kind of come into the picture.
Oh,
which is nice to finally fucking find out.